I've been accused of all kinds of things.
Well, let's talk about comparison now. Yeah. How would you compare the 16 years of PDP leadership in Nigeria to APC's almost 4 years now? APC is always saying they killed Nigeria in 16 years. We can't do anything in 3 years. How would you compare those two parties now?
There's nothing to compare. In the first place, there's no difference fundamentally between the APC and the PDP. You know, APC and the PDP are like two fingers of the same hand, you know, popping out of the window. You know, at the end of the day, they are conjoined at a particular bridge, and that's what they are. That's why most people who are in APC today used to be in PDP, and those. I mean, you can be PDP in the morning and be in APC at night, and you'll be back in PDP the next morning, and there's nothing wrong with it. So there's nothing to compare. What we're saying here is that, you know, if I'm here saying that one is better than the other, I'm deceiving myself. Nigeria has been, you know, on ground zero since both parties came into existence. For the 16 years that the PDP did, of course, it was crime against humanity. You know, let me give you an analogy between Peter Obi's position about the shop and Professor Shibado. Yeah. So I tweeted something I'll repeat here, that, you know, whereas the PDP are the people who looted the shop at first, the APC people are the ones who came and rebuilt the shop and started looting it from the back. You know, so at the end, the shop is being looted still.
How did you come about that analogy in the first place? Because before you make such a claim, you must have some level of proof or facts to back it up.
You know, there's nobody you can talk to in this country, and I've confronted them all the time about it, who's got more facts than I do when it comes to how this country was looted and who looted what and where the loot went. I'm a person who track money, you know, that is stolen from Nigeria. So I can tell you who has a private jet in Nigeria, who has a company, who has a house in London, who has buildings in Dubai, who's got houses in Potomac in the US. I have done this for 12 years. So they know that I know them. Is the reason why they're afraid to debate me in the presidential debate.
We'll talk about the debate later.
I know.
Of course, but we'll get to that point. Let's talk about some of the issues now. You think that the president, Muhammadu Buhari, is not doing a good job, which is why you want to take over his office?
Absolutely. I hate, you know. So they used to describe the PDP president, former president, Goodluck Jonathan, as you know,
please, this is radio, so we have to be as simple as possible.
Don't worry, you know, incompetent, you know, but this President Buhari's own level of incompetence is genetic. You know, that is as if it's ingrained.
You're talking about the president.
I'm talking about him, and you know, that's why we have to get rid of them. This is why we have to retire them to go back home.
Let's talk about
what I'm saying here on radio, so that you're not worried about it. I went and said it in his hometown in Dara 2 weeks ago. I traveled to Dara and did a small rally there in his hometown. So there's nothing strange about what I'm telling you.
Well, let me also take you up. If you said the president is not doing a good job running the country, now let's have in specific terms, if you can, tell us what he's not doing right. Let's talk about those issues, where you think he's failing in the first place and why you think he should be voted out.
When they were coming to, I'm going to judge them based on their own promises. Okay. When they come in and they said they'll give us 5 million jobs, we've lost 14 million since they came into office, right? When they came, they said they will improve the economy. In fact, there was a promise to make $1 be equal to a naira. We have lost the value of naira has been lost by over 100%. So when it came in, I think the naira was about 150 or there, but I'm not sure of the exact figure. But now it's at 350. At the time, it was like 400. So the value of naira was eroded, and they were doing round tripping. You know, they go to CBN every morning, pick up money, sell, and then they make billions. These are things that I know, and I'm talking about facts and figures. During his reign in office, Nigeria became the world capital for poverty, right? So that one is verifiable. It also became the second most terrorized country in the world. Even though President Buhari said he's a former general, he will wipe out terrorism, he met Boko Haram and added headsmen, you know, to his credit, right? And recently, Nigeria, in terms of health, mortality, infant mortality became the place in the world where you're likely to die before you reach the age of 5. So I've given you health. There are over 13 million kids out of school education, right? So ask me in what area have they improved the economy? Nothing. Last week, President Buhari called all the governors and said, well, the economy has entered recession again. It will be the second time I don't think the economy ever left recession. The economy has been in depression since they came in, because why? His ineffective leadership was responsible for it. It took him 6 months to appoint ministers. There's nowhere in the world that, you know, ministers took 6 months to be appointed. And I've traveled a little bit around the continent of Africa, because I don't try to make this comparison between, you know, Nigeria
and the Western world.
I do Africa here. Recently, I went on trains in you know, the local railway system in Lagos, and did a comparison between Kenya, South Africa, and even Ghana. It's a shame. Airports, the same thing. So what do we have working for us under the government? You can tell me if there's anything I'm missing out, so that we can speak based on facts. Like I said, we don't have to keep deceiving ourselves. I think this is the best they can offer us.
You think so?
Yeah, this is the best.
What do you think about the next level slogan of the APC?
It's a fraud. You know, even the logo of Next Level was stolen from somewhere else. It's a fraud. You know, nobody should be talking about next level. We should be aspiring for the highest level, and that's what AAC is all about, and my candidate show is about.
We'll talk about candidacy after a short break about to take right now. Yeah. Do you remember the AAC?
Yes, I founded AAC.
The party was formed by you.
Yes.
What's the philosophy of your party?
Oh man, it's maybe we'd say that when you come from it, when you say you went on break, right?
let's talk about your party's philosophy. What does your party stand for?
So we stand for equality. We stand for justice. We stand for, most importantly, the welfare of the Nigerian people. I don't hide it that our ideological band is towards, you know, investing in Nigerian people. That's the welfare of the generality of the people. That is why all of our programs are geared towards lifting people and helping them to climb out of poverty. You know, where we have what we call Spicer Hit, in which security is number one. Power, electricity is almost nil in this country. We're at 3,000. We want to improve that immediately to 24,000 megawatts. We're talking about infrastructure. We want to double the infrastructure, especially roads. You know, we want to go into railway, build 17 million homes. And these are specific. We want to fight corruption, you know, digitally with technology. You want to talk about an economy that is all inclusive. We want to change the political economy of Nigeria, because the Nigerian economy right now works for outsiders, not us. That's why we always do road shows about bonds, and our bonds are always oversubscribed. But people don't understand the meaning why our bonds are oversubscribed in Europe. It's because of the interest rate. You know, our bond is like MMM, you know, in Europe. You go there and say, look, you want to invest in Nigeria, they want to build some roads. For every 3 months that you invest €5, you get the euro back. It's the highest interest rate in the world. Everybody will buy that, right? And of course, these bonds are backed with some other instruments. So our life is just mortgaged to the bond system. We're borrowing into the future. Money that we can pay back.
Mr. Sowore, we'll take a quick break this morning here. You're still listening to Talking Points on Nigeria's #1 family radio station, Inspiration FM. We have Mr. Omoyele Sowore, who is candidate of the AAC, is running for the office of President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We've got a quick break now. When we come back from the break, he's going to tell us if his party is really 3 of the largest or the 3rd largest party in Nigeria, and why his party was excluded from the debate held on Friday last week here. All of this and much more coming up right now after this quick commercial break.
Dropping the hottest jams. Inspiration.
Just take a quick break.
December 23, 2018, IFM will serve the city of Uyo with premium gospel experience. This is your time for the IFM Praise Jam 2018.
If you talk to him in real life, 2 minutes later, something like
KD Numbere, Ambassador, General All Day, Bobby Friga, Captain Editor, Chief Progress Efion, Regeneration Voices of Lutheran Church, David Idiom from Ireland, Melvin Owe, Moses, like Will and more. Date Sunday, 23rd December 2018 at the Shared Grace Event Center, Sikakefo Avenue, 2 Lanes. Time 3 p.m. red carpet, 4 p.m. main show. The gate is absolutely free.
You meet the guys last night.
Guys, I think for 1,000 naira and stand a chance to win any of our prizes, refrigerators, TVs, home theater systems, and other fantastic prizes. This event is proudly supported by Global Audio Factory, Torchlight Effects, El Motive, Annie Johnson Photography, OT Hotel from Hotel and Golf Resorts.
I do it hard.
Sponsorship and partnership call 0802-368-2484 or 0809-209-5491. IFM Praise Jab. Gospel at its finest.
Ini yang ditoide yang ditaiba na kwa beda beda. Ini marira kanda mixing ini ya. Ini sino ite so afrevo kisoro yo kisini. Ibo ite kini sonyen aku tutu. Ni de ya mai ba konya. Ini ko yo me ko kini. Ani na mo yo wai video ito. Ado awu te ke ini nyamai so na. Kintang pemen bom ini dah kita. Kintang mo to yen ini mana dia. Ini dah kita. Kita pun pada Bible. Ini dah kita. Ni dah ikut soyo. Ni dia owe benengi na kado. Daro na. Ni dia dah kita. Ini mereka isu kisah apa yang benengi ni kita kicu.
What dialect is that?
That's a video.
So how many do you have? You have a BBO?
We have, I think, this is more than 10.
Wow.
We have a BBO, we have a NAM, we have Oron, we have a kit, we have a Bulus.
Wow. They said they're able speakers too.
Yeah, they're able speakers, especially at the border areas. Part of Oberka, part of Etumepo, part of Colorado. Even in the Colorado, you have the section that mixes and revamps.
How far is this was from Bayelsa?
If we go Barrel, it's not supposed to be a fire, you know, it's just so long distance. Even from here to Polanco, you spend about 2 hours. So this is to Bayelsa, you spend about 3 hours. 3 hours, 50 minutes.
So typically this place should not be more than an hour from
It should
Polanco.
be more than. I wish you would drive from here to Polanco. And I would have shown you a route, the so-called east-western route that they said they're doing.
We took it before. When we went to Warriors.
Even the section that leads to a private has been long abandoned. Long ago.
We're going in 1 minute, sir.
Okay.
And so much more. Home delivery services, children's playground, and lots more. Head office, plot 54 Okigwe Road, Kabah. Branch offices, 132 Miriam Road, Colorado, and 24 Miriam Road. You can call us on 0906 481 4455 or 0813 150 6964.
Have you turned it down?
Experience the test.
The IFM Praise Jam raffle tickets now available at Crunchy's Fast Food, Accra Road, Uyo.
Yes, I'll go back there, don't worry.
Sikagedo Avenue, Uyo. IFM office opposite New Secretariat Annex, Udodoma Avenue, Uyo. Crunchy's Plaza, Oron Road, Uyo. And Ibom Tropicana box office, Udodoma Avenue, Uyo.
We are rocking you all the way, every day of the week, right here, 105.9 FM.
And we're back to the program.
Okay, welcome back to the program. Still listening to Nigeria's #1 family radio station, Inspiration FM on a bright Monday. Today, 17th December 2018. Our guest today is a presidential candidate of the AAC, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, also founder online news platform Sahara Reporters, who joins us this morning on Talking Points. Mr. Sowore, thank you for your time and company on the radio this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been exciting being here on the show.
Later on, we are going to the phone lines, getting reaction from our listeners out there. I'm sure they're eager to ask you questions and, of course, get some reaction from you. Now, let's get talking on some of the issues. Before we get to the point of where your party was excluded from the debate, you're aware the former president Olusegun Obasanjo endorsed former vice president Atiku Abubakar as the next president of Nigeria in 2019. What's your take on those endorsements? Do you think that further buffers his chances in winning the elections or not?
I don't waste my time on this kind of endorsement. I think where we are in the country is that Nigeria must take a decisive position to move away from all these old cargoes. telling us what to do. There's nowhere in the world that, you know, you send your old players to play a competitive game, right? Otherwise, we would have sent Sheikh Modegbami to go to the World Cup during the last World Cup because he's still around. So that's where we're getting it wrong in politics. We're still relying on the Obasanjos of this world, the Abubakars of this world, the Buharis of this world. Pretty much, we are letting our ancestors decide for us our political future. You know, we should be praying to them wherever they may be, not to allow them to hijack our future. In other places, countries that are making a difference, young people, fresh ideas are the currencies that are running the show. And that's why you see the difference between Ghana, when the average age of a minister in Ghana is like 42 years old. You know, and you saw Rwanda, you know, young people, you know, females are sitting in governance. You see places like Egypt, you see Morocco, Tunisia, even Angola that went to war for 20 years. They're doing better than us.
You think endorsements don't mean anything?
Doesn't. I don't care about it. So, and you know, look, what I like to see in this election is a shocker. In the disgrace, a total disgrace of these old guys who think that they own Nigeria. Somehow Nigeria and Nigerians are their property. We need to disgrace them out of power. That's why I personally refuse to go and meet Obasanjo, even though people recommend, Joe, why don't you go see him? I'm never going to go see him. I'm not going to see Babangida. I'm not going to see any of this.
So before planning to run for office of the president, who did you consult then? Or do you have a disregard for elders in the country?
No, I don't have disregard. I just think that the elders have been a failure. They failed us, and when you feel so bad, you don't keep imposing your, you know, dead ideas on people who have become victim of your failure. We're a victim of the serial failure of leadership of the Obasanjos of this world, the Abu Salamis of this world, the Babangidas of this world, the Buharis of this world. You know, let me take it home for you. When I was in primary school in 1979, I read a social study, you know, test that's in which they taught us about Audu Ogbe as a minister. 1979, I think it was minister to Buhari and Shagari, or in the 80s, maybe in the 79, 80s. 2018, he's still your minister of agriculture. You know, that means the country pretty much hasn't made progress. You know, I have nothing against elders, but I'm very, very critical of elders that have failed so badly now, but refuse to apologize or leave the space or stage for young ideas and fresh ideas. The reason is because they take Nigerians for granted, because we are too complacent and reticent about really taking on these guys, and that's what I'm here to do. That's what I've always done in my life. I fought against the military. I fought against third term for Obasanjo. I fought against Jonathan because of corruption in his government. I fought against Umaru Yar'Adua's government because of the shady way they were hiding his illness that eventually almost led Nigeria into perdition. And now I'm fighting against Buhari because I've seen that these guys have nothing to offer, and we must just let them clear road for Jaga Jaga, as in our local parlance, what they say here.
All right. The spokesperson of your party, named Jude Ayer, said, and I quote this morning, "We are here to demand inclusion of our vice presidential candidate, Dr. Ahmed Rufai, and candidate of our party, Omoyele Sowore. Our party should be included in this debate. This debate is a national exercise. AAC is a registered party in Nigeria. Yes. We, the young people, are not happy with the way AAC and the candidate, Sowore, has been excluded from the exercise." Now, let's talk about that as well. The debate, you're not part of that debate. It perhaps shows that your party is not a major contender in these elections.
It's not true. If you see what happened when they started the debate, we didn't even pay attention to it. I mean, when they started asking for people to choose who qualified for the debate, we didn't pay attention to it because, you know, we didn't know that was what they were up to. But regardless, when they did their online poll, which they now have pulled down, we were number 3 on the poll. We won as the number 3 party that people wanted to see in the debate. After they did that and discovered that we had won the online poll, they now went behind our back and said they used other criteria for choosing who they wanted. Internally, they were going to present 7 candidates, according to what we found out. But because they were afraid that, you know, if they present 7 people, there's no way they can justify our exclusion as the AAC. They reduced it to 5 and claim that even though we won online, when they did other polls, they did other research, they did other surveys that showed that, you know, I wasn't qualified according to them. But that's not the issue. The issue for us is, who do Nigerians want to listen to? Whose ideas make sense to them? There are 71 political parties in Nigeria that presented presidential candidates out of 91 parties that are registered in Nigeria. You're the one who registered the parties. If you have 71 candidates, you should listen to them. You should figure out how to listen to them. But their job has been made easy because out of the 70-something political parties, 35 of them have joined up with Atiku, which means that they've surrendered their sovereignty as political candidates to Atiku. So that's reduced even the space more. And among those, you can decide who wants to join and who don't want to join, because some of the political candidates who are running for president are not running, quite honestly. They're just there to make a mark, and they're entitled to it. But in this case, everything pointed to the fact that people wanted to hear us out. And this is the first time in Nigeria that the political debates will generate so much backlash against the organizers. They even said it. So when they started bombarding the secretary of the committee of NEDG, which is National, and I think it's Nigerian Election Debate Group, he said at first that it wasn't only the criteria that they made public that determined who they chose. That part of it was character. Of course, you know, I went back and if this was going to be about character, I had not 2 candidates who can't make it to that debate, and the candidate of the APC and the PDP, they have 0 character. They have, you know, and then now I heard he's saying something else, that it's no longer character.
Well, earlier on, Mr. Sowore, you said here that we did not pay attention to that debate. You said that now.
No, when I say pay attention in the sense that some political parties, because they never announced to anybody publicly, which they should have done, you know, a clear-cut criteria for, right, a set of criteria for choosing the candidate, so that everybody can pay attention to it.
Are you worried now that your party is not part of the debate to articulate your plans for 2019 elections?
No, we're not worried. We're fighting, and we even intend to go to court to enforce our right to be heard in a nationally televised debate. What they're doing is, they know that in excluding us, somehow they would achieve the same result they achieved with the VP debate, which was a sham. So the thing is that the local media, who are the people in Bonn, want to present 2 candidates, 2 parties as the only people with candidates that are viable. That's what this is going to achieve, and they only want to pad 2 parties with puppets, you know, and that's what they achieved with the VP candidate.
Let me ask you this question.
Because it then became, you know, an APC versus PDP. Whereas if our VP had been inserted there, it would have been a different.
Well, let me ask you this.
And they know the same.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think the debates will matter when it comes to elections proper? Will it sway voters in any particular way?
It doesn't. Look, as far as we are concerned, it's about what we're entitled to, right? It's just like the ballot paper. You know, the ordering of the ballot paper should be done the proper way, alphabetically. If on election day suddenly they put PDP and APC on top of the ballot paper, it will matter, because that's not how it is done. It's not how it should be done. It's a matter of right that if you are having, in fact, it's enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution that all candidates must be given equal airtime, especially in debate. It's written clearly in our Constitution, so there's a violation of our fundamental human rights in getting excluded from this, and we want to find out from them how a few people can decide for Nigerians who to listen to during a nationally televised debate. It's our right.
Talking about the debate on Friday, what's your assessment of the debate? We had about 5 candidates there.
It was a sham. That's what I'm telling you. They did that debate, you know, handpicked people on the other side so that they can make the APC and the PDP candidates look good, and that's what happened.
And they're the most viable parties in Nigeria now.
Look, the most viable party is a party that's got the ideas to move this country to prosperity, progress, and peace.
In terms of followership, membership, and finance, those parties are the dominant ones in the country.
It's what the money they're spending is not even their money. It's stolen money. It's not financing. You know, we went around this country. By now we've been to almost 32 states. We can find the structures they are bragging about. They just have what I think are retail outlets for bribing electors and intimidating.
But do you have those structures in those states as a political party?
Of course. I mean, I'm here in Akwa Ibom State. I came yesterday at the airport. People met me at the airport. Organic supporters. Is not higher crowd.
Or do you have, for example, do you have a Guba candidate for AAC in Akwa Ibom?
We're 3 months old as a political party. We are not able to present candidates in all the offices, but we have Guba candidates across the country. We may not have everywhere for reasons that are, you know, of the usefulness of the party. We just came on the stage like 3 months ago. But right now, what is most important to us is the presidency, because, you know, when you want to change Nigeria, you need to hold the presidency.
Do you think you can win this election?
Absolutely, we can win it. We've already come from nowhere in less than 9 months, and we are already dusting parties that have been around for 16 years, and the other one has been around for almost 5 years. So there's no big deal about them. I'm telling you, we've been able to demystify them. That's why they are all running scared. They can't even debate, you know. If they want to show that they're not afraid of us, it should be the PDP and the APC calling, say, you know, let's bring Sowore to us. Let us teach him a lesson in the national debate. But they are the ones who are behind these marionettes, influencing things and manipulating the outcome of this debate. I mean, the result of the debate. You know, we have taped recording of the DG of the NEDG expressing personal beef with me. You know, him saying, oh, Sahara Reporters is not even a media. You know, he's not supposed to take a position on things that are irrelevant. We are talking about a national assignment. It's a position of trust, but they've belittled it because of their own personal corrupt tendencies that's influencing everything we do in Nigeria. And that's why we're challenging them publicly. This is a political issue for us. It's not about us alone, it's about the future, that anybody who is a presidential candidate in Nigeria should have his ideas aired openly. He should be able to challenge these deadbeats openly. And let Nigerians decide which party is the strongest, not for the parties to be claiming that. There was a time that the PDP used to claim they are the biggest party on the continent of Africa. You know, but the other day you saw what they did. They started begging briefcase parties to join them in the coalition. Some of those 35 parties are the ones who formed. Speaking
of coalition right now, what do you think about other candidates and other parties? We have the SDP, we have former Minister of Education, Obi Ezekwesili, we have other persons also, of course, Mr. Dr. Mogali is also what do you think about those other candidates who perhaps are also running for office as well?
I have interestingly had a chance to meet so many of the candidates. In fact, I debated Mogali on TVC. You can find the clip out there. I met Donald Duke, former governor of Cross River State, and I had an altercation with him. I've taken on all of these guys one-on-one and shown to the world. That's the reason probably why everybody's saying bring Sowore to the debate.
Right, let's get to the phone line, Mr. Sowore. Mr. Sowore joins us this morning as a presidential candidate of the Africa Action Congress, is running for the office of president in Nigeria's next elections in 2019. Now, to join this conversation this morning, feel free to call 0818-222-9105. If you don't mind, you can also hit the number 0902-684-1059 as well. Feel free to also join the conversation this morning across all our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and of course WhatsApp pages as well. Let's hit the phones this morning. Hello there, good morning to you. You have to be as quick as possible. Be very quick now. What's your name? Where you calling from? And your question.
My name is I want to ask him, what do you see in Buhari today that you didn't see in him 5 years ago when you used your Sahara Reporter to promote him and help him to power? That is number one. Number two, what gives you hope that Buhari will conduct a free, fair, transparent election for you to win? And what do you think, or what do you have to say about the monumental corruption and human rights abuses going on under his government today? Thanks.
All right, thank you for calling. You want to respond to that quickly?
Yeah, the simple answer I give to people: provide any verifiable evidence that I campaign for Buhari. Nobody has been able.
But did you support him?
No, I never did. Supporting somebody means that I am very vocal. If I support something or I support somebody, you will have a clip of me on the internet somewhere saying, vote for Buhari. I've been asking everybody, nobody. What I did in 2015 is what I've always done since I started as an activist. I've always fought on the side of free and fair elections and the respect and honor for the rights of Nigerian people to elect their representatives. And that's what I did to help bring about democracy in 1999, is what I did to sabotage Obasanjo's third term, to ensure that President Jonathan became president when Yar'Adua's people were playing the Yar'Adua cabal game, to ensure that the election that brought Jonathan to power the second time was also, judged to be free and fair. It's the same thing I did in 2015. The PDP did so bad that Nigerians didn't want them. My job as a reporter was to ensure that that was highlighted, and nobody has been able to prove that I lied about the corruption. And in fact, most of the corruption that brought down the Jonathan regime, we did investigations about them. And the same thing we're doing, we're applying the same standard to the APC right now, and that's why the APC people hate me the same way the PDP people used to hate me. I don't have a problem with people having perceptions, but I don't subscribe to people making up stories.
Speaking of perceptions, Mr. Sowore, what do you think? What people say you're an unrepentant critic of every government. You've made efforts, perhaps on your part now, not to see anything good in any administration.
If there's something good, it would not be hidden. And my job as a public conscience person is to say what my conscience tells me is wrong, and do what my conscience tells me is right. And that's what I've always done for 30 years. You see, that's why no one has been able to say Sowore was part of any shady thing. When I was in the student movement in this country, and when I was a student activist at the president of the University of Lagos Student Union, some of my colleagues are probably listening right now, there was money all over the place under Babangida. They were giving 505 to student union leaders. I rejected it. When I met Abiola, he gave me money. I rejected it, even though I was fighting for the validation of the June 12 election that was cancelled in 1993. As a publisher of Sahara Reporters, it's been the same situation. I'm here today in Akwa Ibom State, right? This is home of former Governor Akpabio, right? Ask him. Now, how many times has he called me? Come to Akwa Ibom, because I know he's the donatus of a governor. He gave money to anything that moves, and he didn't like criticism. Go ask him. He invited me several times. Oh, I'm building roads, I'm building stadium. Do you know, the next time I answered him was when he had an accident and he went to London. I said, Akpabio, maybe you said you built a world-class hospital in Akwa Ibom. When you had an accident, why did you ask them to fly you to Akwa Ibom instead of going to London? He couldn't answer me. So, and you can ask him, we have...
Which is why I'm asking you right now. Are you an unrepentant critic of every government?
No, I do what is right by my conscience. If government is doing right, it's for the people to say. When government is doing wrong, it's for prophets.
But you're in Akwa Ibom now. What do you think about the administration of Governor Akpabio? Based on what you've seen on ground and what you're seeing now with the current administration.
You can go and investigate on Sahara Reporters what I did during his time. My job is to put the feet of people in government to fire, right? I don't know what he did and what he didn't do, but I know that I focused on, I had a laser focus on Akpabio because I knew he was controlling a lot of resource here. And since he became a member of the APC, I've been on his case. I said, it's a get out of jail card. When the new governor came, you can go ask him. I was the first to do the exposure on the 800 million naira scam they did in his former bank, Zenith Bank. And you can ask him as well, his people, they know me. They reached out to me, can you help us kill the story? I don't kill stories. If I did it, I won't be able to be saying it on radio today. That I would do what is right by my conscience and leave you guys, the Nigerian people, to decide what is right and what is wrong. We haven't had a government that is working for us, and it is time for us to move to that place, the barricades, and take our destiny and make sure that we don't allow charlatans to keep ruling us, whether it's Buhari or whomever is in your space. It could be your local government. It's time for total revolutionary change, and that is what I'm about. And it's something that will cost a lot, but it's worth the try. It's worth the effort. It's worth the sacrifice.
We'll take one more call. Our time is already fast spent this morning. Let's get to the phone line. Get this caller live here on the radio. Hello there. Welcome to the program. Good morning. Oh, sorry, we lost that one, and we lost the other caller as well on the radio this morning, which now takes us to our other media platforms on the radio this morning, our Facebook page. We have comments there as well, but let's get this caller on the radio firsthand. Hello, good morning. Speak up, sir. Oh, sorry, you might want to call us back there. Hey, hello, good morning to you. Thank you for calling. You're perhaps the last caller today on the program. What's your name and where are you calling from this morning?
Hello, good morning. My name is Joseph.
All right, so what's your question quickly?
I have a contribution, not a question.
Go on quickly.
We talk about leaders of tomorrow, but you see leaders of yesterday becoming leader of today. I still fighting to become leaders of tomorrow. What a place for the youth.
All right. Fair enough then. Let's take this one, the other caller. Hello there, good morning.
Well, good morning.
Many thanks for your time on the radio. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from? From South Africa.
Yes. They probably put your number on.
Yeah, it's online. All right, let's have a take on the radio this morning.
Hello?
Talk to us. What's your question? Let's hear it.
I just want to talk about our second looters in Nigeria. What people call them the class are like they're looters.
Apparently, your line is breaking. I have to let you go. And please be careful before you make such accusations on live radio, referring to people as looter. Good thing we didn't get a name from you, though. Mr. Sowore, before we let you go this morning, tell us one more time, in Akwa Ibom State, why anybody should vote for your party in the forthcoming elections in 2019.
Well, this is a very important state to us because it's one of the places where Nigeria gets a lot of its revenue from oil. And it's scary to me that the PDP candidate is promising to sell off our oil resource to themselves. Atiku is planning to sell NNPC 90% as soon as. It's the only promise he has even made so far. And you know what that means for Akwa Ibom. You know, you are going to be denied once again of, you know, the rights you have, your naturally given resource rights here. And we need to take this place out of poverty. You know, when I was driving here, what I said to myself is, it's nice out here, but it could have been the nicest place in the country because it's the same kind of resource they had in Amsterdam. That could have, Oyo could be an Amsterdam in Nigeria, pretty much. But what we have heard is, you know, I know you don't want people to be called looters on your radio show, but I can tell you that this place has been looted dry. At least we can say that, right? And you just have to understand that the time is the best to strike against these old cargoes who have held your destinies, who have held you to ransom, who have made it impossible for this country to make progress, particularly Akwa Ibom State. You know, and other states across the country, but most importantly, the Niger Delta region, where I come from as well. I'm from the Niger Delta region of Ondo State. So I understand your pain, I understand your sorrow, I understand your suffering, but you're not, you know, your portion is not the suffering you are getting, and you're supposed to get something better. So the better deal is coming and help is on the way. And I'll be having a rally across Uyo today so that people can join us and actually have a natural feel of what we're about, because radio time is never enough time to espouse some of these fresh ideas that we're bringing to Nigeria that will make Nigeria a fantastic place. And I invite you all to be part of history. You know, you just have to cut off your chains so that you can become free.
Mr. Sowore joins us. Mr. Sowore, thank you for your time here on the program this morning. Now, Mr. Omoyele Sowore is a Nigerian human rights activist, pro-democracy campaigner, founder of online news agency Sahara Reporters, and presidential candidate for Africa Action Congress. Is on the radio this morning. Thank you for your time one more time on the radio. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for bringing me.
All right. Now, that's all, folks, on Talking Points for this Monday, today, 17th December 2018. You can feel free to join us again tomorrow, same time, when your prime and number one breakfast show, Breakfast Jam, returns to your radio. My name is Shokwe.
Join me at 11 with Nigerian Women in Business.
I forget that. We'll be right back. Thank you.
You wear your clothes and your tie too.
Thank you for coming.
Good job, man. That's very engaging.
We just took a picture.
Absolutely. I'll do that.
Stomach infrastructure, poverty neutralizing. It's so clear, it's black but a white shirt. Doesn't take a man's time to know that it's planned up. But you think I'm dumb and I can't talk. You're thinking human beings like livestock. Climb up and share money is your blueprint. It's like you take me for a bushman. How your lyric and your gimmick will not fool me. I'm only patient, I'm not stupid.
How are you, sir?
Long time. It's too simple.
Yeah, that's never been written.
Wow. That's good here. Very well. Very well. You were silent throughout. Is that how you play your show? And now you ask questions. Thank you so much. Where's my card now? I'll give you my card.
Where is the event called?
It's Plaza.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Dropping the hard jams. Inspiration 105.9. This is an information.
Good job.
Take it back, take it back.